Even as the U.S. passes the grim threshold of 11,000 coronavirus deaths, President Trump is sounding hopeful, and there's fresh evidence the worst could soon be over.
We're going to have a rough week. We're going to have maybe a little more than a week. But there's tremendous light at the end of that tunnel.
In New York, the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak, the number of hospital admissions, deaths, and ICU patients is down for the third day in a row.
Those are the kind of good signs that you look for. You never even begin to think about claiming victory prematurely, but that's the first thing you see when you start to see the turnaround.
The director of the Centers for Disease Control says he believes the projection of the U.S. death toll could be much lower than expected. And a University of Washington model now predicts the peak of the outbreak as soon as April 16th, with a death toll of 82,000. While it's a respected model, it varies from others, and federal and state leaders are still preparing for the worst. But Vice President Mike Pence says social distancing is working.
The initial data, what we've seen in California and Washington, support the fact that the American people are doing these things, which is nothing short of loving your neighbor.
But New York hospitals are still overwhelmed. The naval ship Comfort is now treating COVID cases from New Jersey as well as New York, and a crew member on board has tested positive for COVID-19. And as the number of deaths increase daily, funeral homes are now also overwhelmed.
You do 3 or 4 a week. We're doing 3 or 4 a day.
New York is extending its stay-at-home order until the end of April, with fines doubling for not social distancing. Meanwhile, administration critics are seizing on memos by White House advisor Peter Navarro in late January and February, calling for aggressive action to prepare for a potential pandemic and raising questions about the president's handling of the crisis early on. In Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved to the intensive care unit of a London hospital after his coronavirus symptoms worsened. But aides say he is conscious and does not require ventilation at the moment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a complete lockdown in Israel over the upcoming Passover holiday to control the country's coronavirus outbreak. But in Europe, news that Italy and Spain are also seeing numbers drop has some optimistic the worst may be over there. Fueling a bump in global markets was reflected on Wall Street Monday, with the Dow up almost 8%, as traders saw hope the coronavirus outbreak could be slowing. The president and Congress are apparently in agreement that more economic relief is needed, with House Democrats reportedly considering a package that could surpass $1 trillion. Dale Hurd, CBN News.